Hello, I'm Tali, and today we're going to go through our August reads for HRCYED. If you missed my July version of this, I'll put the link below, along with all the links to find out more about what HRCYED is, which stands for the Hardest Reading Challenge You'll Ever Do. This runs from July to July, so it's not too late to get involved if you're interested. In August, I decided to focus primarily on the adaptations prompt. I haven't completed the prompt, but I did get a few books ticked off. Now, most of the books I read for this were either manga or graphic novels, so I didn't vlog my reading experiences with them. Let's see how we are doing those. So for the by the hundreds, the page count, I have popped in the hundreds, The Murders of Molly Southbourne by Tali Thompson. This is the start of, I believe it's a trilogy, and it follows a young, well, it goes from like childhood through to like young adult, a woman who every time she bleeds, clone versions of her are created, and they're quite often violent and are out to hurt our main character. It was really fast paced. Obviously it was like 130 pages, quite enjoyable, and I will be picking up the next two as well. For the 200s, I have put in the book I read with my son, which was How to Train Your Dragon by Cressida Cowell. We are going through the series. We finished the first book in August, and it is nothing like the film, and I was really disappointed by that. For the 400s, I read Spellbound by Georgia Layton. This is a Sleeping Beauty retelling. I didn't consider that when I went into this book, so when I finished, I realised this could also be used as an adaptation one, which I did put in for that. We follow twins born to a royal family, 2 daughters, and a evil witch appears on the birth of the first daughter, the eldest of the twin, and places a curse upon her. And then the queen gives birth to a second child, which she had been holding in because she knew this curse was going to happen. And then she swaps the babies. So she keeps the second child, which has no curse placed upon her, and gives the first baby to a mage that has come to be there for the naming of the princesses or princess, and she takes her away, and it follows the two, like, lives of the two girls and how they intertwine, etc. And then for the 500-page book, I've put in Babel by R.F. Kuang. This was such a good read. I was going to say enjoyable. It's not really enjoyable because of the subject matter, but we follow Robin in the 1800s. He is a Chinese born boy, and then when his mum dies from a plague, a scholar from Oxford University takes him out of China and brings him to Oxford, to their translation college, which is in the Babel Tower at Oxford, and translation is used to create magic in this world. And it's a big discussion on colonialism and language, etc. It is such a fantastic read. I really recommend it. I haven't done my 24-hour challenge yet, so that is still a 0 prompt. I did not add anything to my horror subgenre this month. I did put The Murders of Molly Southbourne in for the first book in my trilogy in the series Staircase, because I intend to read the next 2 books. And then for the quadrilogy, for the Staircase with 4 books in a series, I started and finished the Saffron Everly mystery series. There's 4 out and it is the end of the series. I listened to them all via audio. The one of them, I think it was the 3rd book, was selected on my audio TBR spinner wheel, which is a series I do on TikTok, so make sure to follow me there to see that series. And obviously I wasn't going to jump in at the 3rd book, so I decided to do the whole lot. I did them all in about 3 days, and this is a really fun series. It's set in Victorian London, and we follow Saffron, who is a botanist and academic, and she is very much kind of looked down upon because she is a female, and she gets caught up in lots of murders that are to do with poisoning, so she ends up getting pulled into the case. It is really, really fun, and I just love book series of this nature, so if you know any more, please do let me know. Award season is actually, I haven't got anything in for award season, but it is what I am planning to read some of in September, so join me next month for putting at least 1 or 2 on here, hopefully. For my TBR game, I have put in August such a fun influence, such a bad influence, and this was one that my spinner wheel selected, and it follows a woman whose younger sister, there's 10 years between them, younger sister is a very big influencer in the social media sphere, and she goes missing, and so the sister that we follow has to go back to her family home, to the mum that she is no contact with, to try and find her sister. It was quite interesting. You can see my full thoughts on TikTok. I haven't yet finished my July pick, so you'll see that prompt is actually empty. I should be putting the book in that I picked in July, hopefully soon. In the last 10 years prompt, I haven't added anything into that in August. And then we got to our adaptations prompt. So this is the one that I was primarily focusing on this month. God, that sun has really gone in, hasn't it? Sorry about the light going and coming. The sun has just gone in and it's all gone very grey. For the adaptations, I fulfilled 5 of 8 in August, which is quite good. I would have liked to have done them all, but you know, it's fine. No, some of the ones I've earmarked in for these spaces, I was just not going to get around to in August, so it was unlikely to. But for retelling, obviously, I read Spellbound. I actually had in this space earmarked Lady Macbeth by Ava Reid, but when I finished Spellbound, I realised that could go into here. And obviously, that's a retelling of the Sleeping Beauty book by, I think that is Brothers Grimm, or is it Hans Christian Andersen? I can't remember. For TV show, I read Alice in Borderland. I'd already read volume 1, so I reread that, and then I read volume 2 and volume 3. I've put volume 2 in here, and I actually started the TV show, and I'm quite enjoying it so far, although I think I'm fast approaching where I've got up to in the manga, and my library doesn't have the next one, so I don't really know what I'm going to do, if I'm just going to continue the TV show or wait until I can get hold of the rest of the manga. I am not sure, but I'm loving this so far. This follows Aritsu, who is in the manga he is a high school student, but in the TV show they have aged him up, and I think that was a much better choice considering what happens in the series. And one day he and his friends see fireworks, and then everyone disappears across Tokyo, and he finds himself in these death games, and they have to collect playing cards to be able to escape. It's very interesting, very I enjoy like death games in my books, so I really enjoy this. If you know of any more, please let me know. Obviously I need to watch some new series of Squid Game, which is in a TV show element, but if you know any in book form, let me know please. I haven't done musical. I have earmarked for this one, I think, Alice in Wonderland. I think that's what's in this space. There is a Alice in Wonderland musical. For a web series, I read the most recent volume of Heartstopper, volume 5, by Alice Oseman. I just love Nick and Charlie. I love following their story. There's only one volume left, which is coming out next year, and then their story is complete. But I'm just a big fan. I did read Heartstopper when it was a webcomic previously, before they started being released as graphic novels, so very fun. I enjoy it. For a comic, I read the graphic novel adaptation of The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I read The Handmaid's Tale, gosh, maybe like 8 years ago, and I saw this on the shelf in the library, and I thought that would be perfect for this prompt, so I grabbed that. It was fantastic, very, very well illustrated. Can't remember who the illustrator was off the top of my head. I'll pop it up here somewhere. And then for animation, I continued on with Spy Family. I'm on volume 3 of that, and there is an animation been made, a TV show, and that is on my watch list, so I will be watching that at some point as well. Spy Family is set in a kind of alternate universe. It's not set in any particular time period or realistic country or anything like that, but it's kind of in a Cold War-esque era, and we follow a gentleman who is a very, very very good spy, and he needs to try and infiltrate this boarding school to keep an eye on this guy that they think is a traitor or a terrorist. And so he has to and so he goes to an orphanage and adopts a random little girl. Turns out she has not kinetic powers. She can read people's minds. Not that she's told anyone about that. That's very much a secret. And then he realizes to make it work, he needs a wife as well. So he finds a lady that he will marry to try and appear like they are a cohesive family unit. And it just so happens that the woman he marries is also a spy. So they're keeping it all secret. Everyone's keeping who they are a secret from each other. And hijinks follow, and it's quite fun. And then for a play, I can't remember what I had picked for this. And then we have movie. For that one, I was hoping to read Let the Right One In. I can't remember if that's what the book's called as well. But I've seen the original Swedish film and the American remake, and I've been wanting to read the book, so that's what's going in there. Obviously, my prompt for the disability representation, I fulfilled in its entirety in July. So go see my previous video and reading vlog for my thoughts on these books. For Heritage Month, there wasn't anything for August. I have put in a book in my translation challenge. I read Sing Nightingale, which was originally in French. This was a very strange book. I still could not really tell you what my thoughts are on it. And that's about all I have to say on that, quite frankly. I've popped some books in for around the world, so I've been going for fulfilling them with the authors being from those continents as opposed to set in those continents, because I read a lot of fantasy. So I've done North America with The Traitor Queen by Danielle L. Jensen. This is the second one in the Bridge Kingdom series. I've been meaning to get to it for ages. It kind of finishes off the story for Lara and Aaron, and that's them done. And then the next two, like books 3 and 4, are a different couple, so it's all like duologies within the same series. I've popped Alice in Borderland in for Asia, so that's a nice one ticked off. And then The Whisper Man by Alex North is a book, a crime thriller book that I read, and the author is British, so I've popped that in for Europe. I was a little bit disappointed by this book. I went into it thinking it would have more horror elements, but it very much lent crime thriller. And then if we look at my rainbow challenge, I'm doing so well with this. I actually only need one more book, which is a book with a rainbow cover, or a rainbow on the cover. I did have a book, Feast While You Can. I'll show you it. I did have this book, which I contemplated, but I realised I would be lying to myself and would put that in for a rainbow. So I need to find a book with a rainbow on the cover. But I have fulfilled all of the other covers. So I've put How to Train Your Dragon in as the red one. Orange and yellow I did in July. I've put one of the Saffron Everly mysteries in for green with a botanist's guide to society and secrets. Spy Family is very much teal, so that is fulfilling that. I've popped Heartstopper in as the light blue cover. Another Saffron Everly book for a dark blue / blue in general book, which is the Botanist's Guide to Parties and Poisons. Monstrilio has gone into the purple one. As much as I prefer the American cover, I read the English cover one, obviously, so that is purple. I've put Such a Bad Influence in for the pink one. Yes, it has black as well, but I think the primary colour that you look at is pink. Black and white I fulfilled in July, and then for the like metallic, so in a gold or silver, I've put Catabasis in. I think that definitely fulfills enough gold for it to be a gold cover, in my personal opinion. The prompt that I'm most scared of, which is crazy because it was a choose your own prompt basically, so this is you had to pick a beloved quote from some sort of book, TV, film, etc., and then every word you find on a cover or fulfill it with an author's name, etc. I thought this would be an easy one, but it's really not, and I've managed to fit one in with one of the Saffron Everly ones for 2, with a botanist's guide to flowers and fatality. So yeah, please look at the rest of this quote. Help me out here, please help me out here. I've not added anything into my spooky creatures prompt, nor have I done anything in becoming the avatar yet. My readathon challenge I completed in July, obviously. Go see my previous video and go and watch my reading Gothic books July Noir edition to see my thoughts on these. I have added one book into my animals on the cover prompt. I've added in for exotic animals curse words, which is the first volume in this graphic novel series. There is a koala on the cover. She is called Margaret and she is a menace. My queer alphabet prompt is chugging along. I've fulfilled Gay with Gaysians by Mike Caruto. This follows a group of gay and or trans Asian folk who come together, and it's like a found family, and we follow each of them as they go along. And there's a lot of discussions about drag queens and pride, especially when it comes to like the intersection of pride and Asian identity. It was a really good book. I did it via audio and it was very well cast, and it had like music effects and stuff. It was just really, really good. In Monstrilio, both the parents of Monstrilio, the creature or the monster, date both men and women. So whilst they do not specify their sexuality, they fulfill bi/pan. And then I don't think I mentioned this last time. Oh no, I didn't. So I fulfilled August's secret prompt, so I was able to add another prompt so I can triple up one of the books I read in August, and at the very beginning of August I read 16 Souls, so that has come back into play, and I've popped it in for trans because one of our main characters is trans. My favourite HRCYED 1 prompt has nothing going on just yet. I've not focused any time on that. I've added in Babel and Gaysians into my BIPOC authors prompt here. And then for my new releases challenge, my August read was Catabasis by R.F. Kuang. It was a high five star. I thought it was brilliant. We follow 2 PhD students whose advisor dies during some magic that he was performing, because they are like magicians, and they have to go to hell, through the circles of hell, to find him to get some reference letters. So yep, that was great fun. My challenge myself prompt, I've not started yet either. I have yet to read a non-fiction whilst I've been doing this readathon. I haven't read any of Q's recommendations, although I have picked out the books for it. So here we are. Here is where I'm leaving off the end of August. I'm quite happy with where I am. I think I'm doing quite well. Let's keep this momentum going. And as I said, in September I'm going to be focusing on the award season prompt and trying to read some books that were at various stages in some previous Spiffbo rounds, which is the self-published fantasy and sci-fi blog off. I can't remember if I've done that the right way around, but there we go. So yes, that is where we are at the end of August. I'm happy, very happy. If you have any recommendations for any of these, please let me know in the comments. If you're taking part in HRCYED, let me know in the comments, please. And if you want to say hi but don't have anything specific to say, leave a medal emoji for the award season that I'm going to be tackling in September. Thank you so much for spending time with me today, and when you join me in September for the award season, there will be a reading vlog element, and to be honest, I will continue to do that as much as possible, unless it's like a bunch of graphic novels like this month when I just don't think it's appropriate. But yes, thank you for joining me. Make sure to like, subscribe, and I'll see you soon for another video. Bye friends.